dust storm, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
All right, so after the news cycle for the last couple weeks, it's absolutely refreshing to look at my rundown for this show and see it's overwhelmingly Star Wars. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Well. Get to talk Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Star Wars in the context of Star Wars.
I mean, we're the wars and more.
Sure.
So the wars being the dominant figure here.
That is true. Yes.
And it seems that we haven't got to do that.
Right. Yeah, that's been a problem as of late. But
yeah, because I'll be damned if I want to sit down and talk politics when I want to talk Star Wars, right? Like,
exactly. That's exactly right.
So, all right. Well, we kick it off this week. Like, step back. We're taking a step back. Star Wars Rebels.
Oh yeah. Rebels.
So Freddie Prinze Jr. was sitting down to talk with, was it Collider, I believe? Yes, Collider.
Okay.
And he got to talking about his role in Rebels as Kanan Jarrus.
Right.
And he said he had a couple of interesting things to say in here. Just talking about getting the role, going to audition and the way things went along the way. The first thing that caught my eye was he said, getting to be a Jedi. The first moment is the best moment. It's like a drug. The first moment was the audition when I went in. I didn't know it was Star Wars because they're so stupidly secretive about everything.
Stupidly secret. I like that.
Yep. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
He's like, who cares? Just tell people you're making a Star Wars cartoon.
That's not how Lucasfilm works.
It's really not. And you know what? In all honesty, I kind of agree with him here.
Right.
Like, not everything has to be a massive secret.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to convince them of that, though. That's for sure.
Oh, I understand. The thing is, they want the surprise, right? The big reveal.
Exactly.
The conventions, the panels, things like that. They want that reveal. The excitement that comes along with it. I've been there. I've seen it. It is unreal.
Yeah.
So, Rebels is one of those things where I was at Star Wars weekends when they were giving the first looks at this stuff.
Right.
And each weekend they showed, based on which one of the voice actors was there, they showed a different short.
Ah.
So I got to see the Ezra one.
Cool.
So I understand why they do what they do, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you're making a Star Wars cartoon. Just come out and say you're doing it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't think it would lose any excitement when you get first looks, right?
Right. The only thing I guess that it could like put a damper on a little bit was maybe it'd be if if people know something's going on, then they're going to try and use every in that they got within the company or something like that to try and get some info. So, yeah.
Right.
But I think that's always going on anyway, right?
Yeah. So another thing that made me laugh, he says, I was in the parking lot and there was this legend voice actor. I won't say his name, but he was smoking a joint in the parking lot. He said, "Oh, you're here for Star Wars?" I was like, "No, man, I'm here for something called Wolfpack." He goes, "Nah, man, it's Star Wars."
Oh, that is hilarious.
I really want to know who this was.
Okay. So, legend voice actor.
On Rebels.
On Rebels. I'm not sure. It's funny because they're all legends now, Yeah.
Was it Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Now that would have been funny.
I know you from somewhere.
Yeah. Last time I saw you was in the driveway when I left. Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't really want to take any guesses because
Yeah, I'm not going to try and figure it out here, but I just think it's hilarious that that was like his first impression pulling in. He was like, all right, guess I'm in the right place.
And it might not have even been someone who was cast. So
That is true. You make a good point.
we can't even narrow it down like that.
Guy can't get his lines right. He's stoned.
He made some comments about Dave Filoni with his cowboy hat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He says, I walked into a room and saw Dave Filoni with his goofy cowboy hat on.
Goofy.
He says, I love that he's so committed to it. He said, even when it's not the coolest hat.
Wow.
He says, if you still commit, it becomes cooler than it could have ever been. And I love that. He's got a point.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
Dave Filoni makes the cowboy hat cooler than it really is.
Right, because
I'll agree with this sentiment.
Sure.
But nowadays, if we see Dave Filoni in anything but a cowboy hat, we're like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, but I guess my thing is this. Look, you must respect the hat. It's
Yeah. Sure he does now.
Yeah, he better. Except he's calling it goofy.
But he did say it becomes cooler than it could have ever been. So
that is true.
So he does recognize the power of the hat.
Oh, that is good.
And the power of Dave to make the hat cooler.
Right.
Well, one thing I saw in this that I thought was interesting was it sounds like not a lot of people were on board with him.
You don't say.
Yeah. He said they called Seth Green to see if I was a good guy. Disney did not want me. They wanted someone else, but Dave wanted me. So later that day, I got the call saying, hey, you're going to get the role.
Wow.
I'm surprised because like his voice for Kanan is such a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, knowing what we know now, as far as how the series went, you almost couldn't see it any other way, some other voice actor or something. But I just find it interesting that, why wouldn't Disney want him?
It's funny though, like even, take yourself back, right? In reading A New Dawn.
Yep.
Before the series kicks off. And you're like, Freddie Prinze Jr. is doing Kanan
right
at that point.
Yeah.
And you're kind of hearing that voice as you're reading. It fit then.
You know what, though? I will say this. When I was reading that book, in my head, I was kind of hearing the She's All That Freddie Prinze as opposed to the, Rebels Freddie Prinze that we got. He worked out much better voice acting that character than I made him out to be in my head.
But in hindsight, he worked out better in Rebels, but in A New Dawn, he was drunk.
It's true. Good point. Yes, he was. So I guess that kind of fits what I was thinking about then.
So it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
I mean, not these.
And when you think about it, like how flirty he was with Hera in A New Dawn, it taking that She's All That kind of voice and applying it to that.
Right.
That kind of worked.
It does. Yeah, it did.
They knew what that's some witchcraft there, man. They knew what they were doing.
Right. That is funny.
And I'm definitely parsing here because man, he was very wordy. But he mentions a conversation between him and Dave where they talked about him dying at the end of season 2 when he fought Maul.
Oh, okay.
Wait, was that at the end of season 2?
I think so.
Wow.
There were only 4, I believe, total.
Wow, that show developed fast.
Yeah.
But dying at Maul's hand at the end of season 2. And he says, but the same people who didn't want him for the project suddenly said, no, he can't die. He has to be in every episode.
Nice.
So he guesses they won him over or he won them over at some point, which not shocking. I mean, he won a lot of people over.
Sure. Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, the one plate you got to give him credit is he did a fabulous job voicing that character. So, my what do you want, preconception of what he might be, like I said, the she's all that Freddie Prinze Jr.
Right.
It might have had something to do with those people who didn't want him in that role, because maybe they had an idea of what that role was going to be, and that character from that other movie is what they're envisioning, him sounding like, and they knew that wouldn't work. But he did have the chops to come in and make Kanan the character he was, and that was, he did a fabulous job at that. So
yeah, and I mean, another thing that stood out to me is he knows where to give credit. When it was him and when it was the animators, things like that. He says the death, which everyone gives me the most credit for, has nothing to do with me. There's no dialogue there. That's all Dave, the animators, music, and people more talented than me that made you think it was me. But nothing will, and then he says, but nothing will top the audition. The audition was still the best part.
Wow. So,
but
you know what? It is really good of him to point all that out.
Yeah.
Because, and now on the other hand, I will say, if he wouldn't have been up to snuff to doing his part of that character, the voice, the expression audibly, it probably wouldn't have been as good when it had to be just silence, from Kanan.
Yeah, he says, yeah, okay, I'll agree with him. All the emotion in that scene came from the music, the animators, everyone else. But it was the character that he built along the way.
Yes.
That made that so deep. So he deserves credit for that, because
Absolutely.
That scene doesn't hit you like that if he didn't perform the way he did.
Right. If he voiced that character really wooden and hard to listen to, yeah, it would not have been such an emotional scene.
And he played the Jedi teacher who was learning himself.
Right.
In such a fabulous way. So,
yeah,
this was one of his better interviews, if you ask my honest opinion.
Cool.
It was the most meat here. He didn't attack Star Wars fans.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Because I think the last time we heard from him, made me want to fist fight him. But hey,
No, this was a good one, though. And it was very reminiscent of while he was working on Rebels. The excitement, things like that.
See, all that stuff is cool to hear. I like that.
Yeah, because back when he was working on the project, we were like, man, we love this guy. He's a fan. He's doing
right. Exactly.
And then right after, he's like, man, Star Wars fans suck. And we're like, hey, man, screw you.
Yeah. I think we're all fickle here, aren't we? Oh, that's funny.
But no, it was cool. It was cool.
Awesome.
So, talking Rebels, this is a nice little segue.
Ooh.
Into The Mandalorian. Now, The Mandalorian's had a bunch of Rebels connections already.
That it has.
So, I'm going to butcher his name. I know I have to say this all the time, but I have to apologize in advance because I suck at names. So, it's Mena Massoud, I believe.
Okay.
Rumors been flying around that he'll be playing Ezra Bridger. in The Mandalorian.
Oh, interesting.
So Mena is the actor from Aladdin. Just to clear that up, you need to put, a face to the name.
Okay.
Yeah. Been rumored that he's been cast to play Ezra.
Ah, interesting.
Well, this week he shared an Instagram post with a picture of himself and the following quote. Hey, just so you know, when I escape, I won't hurt any of you.
Huh.
Dude,
Nice.
you're going to throw an Ezra quote out there?
Yeah. So
Now, we've been here before.
we have, yes.
We've been here before with another name I'm going to butcher, which was Rahul Kohli,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's the dude that I was thinking of at first. But yes.
Yeah. We had a run-in with him just, a few months back, last year?
Right.
I think it was last year.
It was last year, yes.
Where he teased like he might be in The Mandalorian.
Right.
And then he had to say, I was just kidding. I don't know if this guy's just kidding.
Be interesting. It's funny because, we keep getting teased with all these Ezra casting rumors. This is probably how Lucasfilm was trying to throw us off the scent of what they're really doing, We're not even going to put Ezra in the show, something.
It could be, but when they name dropped Thrawn, that amped up this speculation.
Well, sure. Yeah, you have Ahsoka, you have Thrawn, and everyone's expecting, okay, that means Ezra.
Last time you saw this character.
Yes. Now, the timeline, could work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And let's look at the other thing here. He's already got Disney ties.
True.
With Aladdin.
That is true.
Disney likes to use talent they've already had with them in multiple projects.
Right.
So this is a pretty solid rumor, in my opinion. I mean, you look at him, like, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I mean...
And he's got the Disney tie.
I guess, so season 2 of The Mandalorian was, what'd you call it? Cameo of the week kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a rotating door of cameos.
Right. So,
I don't expect season 3 to be any different.
It's very possible that it could be like that, and take that for what it is, I guess. But
I thought the sequel trilogy was supposed to be their jumping off point to new Star Wars.
Right. Well, apparently it's The Mandalorian, so
they had strike 1, 2, and 3, and they're like, we're not missing strike 4.
Exactly. Too bad you're already out.
No, new rules.
Yeah. Yeah, new rules. Yeah. We're back to strike 0. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. Could be.
Oh, they're like, let's call The Force Awakens a bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. If there is any that's a ball, that's The Force Awakens.
No, I like this. Of the characters I want to see, as far as cameos go,
Yeah.
If you would have asked me what cameos I'd like to see in The Mandalorian, Boba Fett wouldn't have been my top pick.
Right.
Luke Skywalker would not have been my top pick. Rebels characters, on the other hand, they're in my top picks.
Wow. Okay.
One, they don't have their own story, like their own live action stories already.
Right.
Okay. So bringing them to live action, this is a big deal. And they're characters that would be continuing their story arcs. Luke, I understand his story arc's continuing throughout this, but I feel like that would have been best served in the cinematic universe.
Okay.
Now, I know we didn't get that,
Yeah.
but would have been best served.
Not to diverge too much here, but I do want to just say, if it wasn't for the way Luke was portrayed in the sequel trilogy, I don't think there would have been as much of a need to bring him back in The Mandalorian.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Not to, derail our conversation, but,
No, but that's why I said would have been better served in the cinematic universe.
Right.
But the small screen, I was totally cool with small screen characters coming to that show.
Yeah. Makes sense.
As far as the big screen characters, honestly, I can do without it in this show. Because the characters that I've, attached to most in The Mandalorian have been Ahsoka Tano, Fennec Shand.
Right.
The not big screen characters. Was seeing Luke cool? Absolutely. But I didn't need that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm glad we got it. That's for sure.
I'm not complaining by any stretch. It was still a good show.
Yes.
Still very entertaining. But characters like Ezra, Ahsoka, Thrawn, and the new characters that we've been introduced to, all bigger in my opinion for this show than the Boba Fett appearance or the Luke Skywalker appearance.
Right.
So
Yeah.
would love to see Ezra show up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. What I would like to see, though, is if he does show up, I would like to see this be more than an episode. I'd like to see it maybe be an arc of episodes or something. I don't want it to be, here's who we're bringing back this week, that sort of thing.
Right.
And give it a meaty story,
I have a feeling that Thrawn's going to play a bigger role as this show goes on. So Ahsoka, Ezra probably will have bigger roles.
Well, hopefully. I mean, Ahsoka's getting her own show, so.
I know, but I have a feeling she's going to see a lot of crossover.
Could happen. Well, I mean, Kathy Kennedy actually said that, all this stuff is going to come to a culmination at the end where all these shows come together kind of thing.
She said a lot of things.
Oh, I know. But she said that. That was something definitive that she said. So, I mean, it was like, okay. And I know. She said the Obi-Wan scripts were done, but,
Yeah, she said the Obi-Wan scripts were done. She said, this is going to be the end of the Skywalker saga, and then the last thing we're going to do is, I'm Rey Skywalker.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Really now. Did she just go to Tatooine to die?
Exactly.
All right. Anywho, we're talking about the Mandalorian and Rebels characters. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Thrawn.
Yes, Thrawn. So
one of the names that was tossed about was Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's been for a while now, too.
A long time.
A lot of people have been wanting him to play Thrawn for a while. There's been fan art, you get to see Benedict with blue skin and red eyes, and gotta say, looks pretty good that way.
Well, Collider even used the Thrawn cover art from the book.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Side by side with him. Man, that looks pretty damn good.
Right. Well, Collider did interview him and asked him the question. And here's kind of how that went.
There's a lot of people that would like you to play a character called Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I'm just curious if you've heard people saying this, because I could see you playing this role.
Grand Admiral Thrawn. Does he turn into Peter Cushing or something? Is that
No? He's blue. He's a very cool character. That's a villain. That would you be under like a blue makeup thing? Anyway, I'm just curious if
I think that's a straight no for me right now. There's no way I want to be turned blue. I could turn the air blue very, very recently, but no, seriously, I have precious time with my children, and I think sitting in a makeup chair being painted blue and the amount of time it would take to do that and then take it off at the end of the day might just, it's not the right time in my life for that.
So
he's blue.
For everybody that was hoping, sorry.
Not. So does he turn into Peter Cushing? Is that it? No, he's the greatest military mind in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
let's not say that. But no, he's blue.
Oh,
he's
yes,
blue.
yes. That's the thing that got me too. Is yes, the interviewer says yes. yeah. Thrawn, who's Thrawn? Well, he's blue. He's a cool character, bad guy. No, yes, greatest strategic mind.
Did I mention he's blue?
Greatest strategic mind in Star Wars. Yeah, how's that? Because that I think would grab Benedict's attention a little more. I think it's like, ooh, maybe that's something I can work with. First thing he has to cling on to, makeup trailer. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like Benedict. Look, if you play this role, every role you've played before this is soft.
Exactly.
Compared to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Doctor Strange, who? Yeah.
Like you thought Sherlock Holmes was smart?
Right.
No. This guy would look at a painting.
Yes.
And know everything he needed to know about his opponent.
Exactly. See, even that part of Thrawn, if he could have learned that during this interview, I see that maybe enticing him a little bit, but I don't know. I think his opinion of the character is tainted now. You know what I'm saying? For all of those who really wanted him to play that role, I'm sorry to say, I just think that you
don't lead off with this like 6 hours of makeup. You don't lead off with that.
Exactly. I think that's going to be the first thing he thinks of now whenever he hears the name. Is like
when you try to get someone to read your articles, do you go, well, it's long?
Exactly. Yeah. It's really wordy and hard to understand.
Yeah, it's long. There's some good stuff in there, but did I mention it's long?
Right. Oh well, hey.
I mean, I'm partial to Jason Isaacs. Of all the rumors and fan casts that have been out there, I'm partial to Jason Isaacs.
Sure.
I wasn't on the Robert Downey Jr. train. That's
no. I like Jason Isaacs for this as well. He seems to me like he would have have a much colder aura about him playing the role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even a little more angry, right? Like
yeah.
Benedict would probably be a little cooler. A little cooler demeanor.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, if we could blend the two.
Yeah, we need a mashup of these guys to play that role. That'd be great.
Robert Downey Jr., to me, we're just hoping for that Heath Ledger magic, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, there's no way he can do this. Oh, wow, he did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to be a thing that's going to be up in the air until it happens, right?
Right. And
because this is a character they're not going to let us know in advance.
Oh, no. This This is going to be one of those ones with a nice big reveal during an episode, and yeah, we'll have no idea who it is.
Which, you know what would make a lot of sense here? We talked about greatest strategic mind in Star Wars history, right?
Right.
When referring to Thrawn.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be pretty interesting to find out that Benedict Cumberbatch is the greatest liar in the history of Star Wars?
Oh, that'd be great. Stranger things have happened here,
Like, he shows up and he said he didn't want to be blue.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at him. Blue. Yeah.
Yeah, so here we go. We're already dismissing it. He's lying.
He's lying. He's Thrawn.
No, I believe him that he doesn't want to do that.
Right.
He went right to that. There's no way I want to be blue.
Yeah.
Sitting in that chair. This is a guy who sat in a chair for longer than he wanted to before.
You know what though, man? The more I think about this, because there's this little voice in the back of my head going, "All right, Benedict, all you got to do is when they ask you, all you got to do is just say no. Say no. I'm not going to do it." That's we all know who that is.
He did this, and Dave's like, "Oh, that was good."
Exactly. He did just what I told him to do.
Hey, you guys see this? This is how you do it right here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, take notes.
This is why he's drawn.
Oh, we are horrible.
It's funny, though.
Yes.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so some more legacy Star Wars content's coming to Disney Plus.
Yes.
Which means we're getting that much closer to the holiday special being available on Disney Plus.
Ooh, I can't wait.
So the Tartakovsky Clone Wars series is coming to Disney Plus.
Absolutely. Love this series.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's okay, so I'm not sure if they're going to release it in series form or if they're going to make it into like movie because you can watch it either way, really. But this thing originally aired in like 2003, somewhere around there, and it was released in like little 4 or 5 minute chunks, like one a week for several weeks. And then
I mean, I don't think people want to watch credits every 5 minutes.
Exactly. But that's kind of the way it was released originally. So but you can
5 minutes Disney Plus logo, 5 minutes Disney Plus logo. Like, yeah, not gonna fly.
you can
I think it'll be a little longer format.
Right. You can watch them together and they make sense. And the way they were done, they had to make sense in a short form as well. So it's kind of cool. These clearly were all in promotion for Revenge of the Sith when it was coming out. And they do touch on a lot of stuff that's like more immediately relevant to the films, than the Clone Wars that George did later. So kind of cool. I don't know. I'm excited.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, it really is the series that birthed the beast that was the Clone Wars. Later on.
Yes.
Because it was very popular.
Yes. It's funny. It's also one of those things that I believe that this was released on DVD, but then I don't think it ever hit Blu-ray. And I think its DVD release was very limited. So finding a copy might be tough.
I think I have a DVD of this that's, a burned DVD.
Oh, really? Okay. Cheater.
Well, there was no DVD of this when I got a burned DVD of this.
Right.
This was, before they decided to make, discs for everything.
Right.
Still no holiday special.
Keep holding your breath, Joe.
I mean, what's crazy is I keep saying this like I'm gonna watch it. I won't, but
right. That's the thing. I mean, you just want to feel secure in knowing that it's there if you ever need to.
I just want to know that everyone can see it.
Yes. Well, everyone can see it
in a good format.
Okay.
Like, I want everybody to be able to see the holiday special because I think everyone should at least once or only once, one of the two.
Why do you hate everybody?
I don't. I don't.
Come on, that was a joke.
But I just think it's one of those things that everybody should see at least once.
Yeah. Because then you'll get the jokes.
Yep. Exactly. There's something about it, right? Something about the jokes.
Right.
And now they're even pulling stuff from that.
True. They've been doing that for a long time. I mean, even the old expanded universe, Chewie's son's name and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That stuff was ripped right from the holiday special.
I mean, I love seeing people's heads spin when you tell them that Boba Fett was actually introduced in the Star Wars holiday special.
Yes, that's another one. Yeah. It's like, what?
Animated.
Yeah, animated. Sounds nothing like Tamora Morrison, too.
Or Jeremy Bullock, for that matter.
Correct. That is true.
So, yeah, I just think it's something that should be seen. Just like I'm so happy to see this show coming to Disney Plus, so everybody can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the 7 seasons of the Clone Wars that we got. Actually, a lot of stuff that happens in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars that we don't see in the 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. And right. It's just little things, right? Just little tiny things. Don't want to spoil anything, but Anakin loses his braid there. We're actually introduced to Ventress there. And again, this setting up episode 3, we're introduced to Ventress, yet we don't see her in episode 3. It's like,
what happened here?
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, so you're right. It was the launching off point for the Clone Wars that we all came to know and love. So yeah, it's definitely worth a watch just to take everything in its entirety into context. So
yeah, it's like I said, it's interesting to see some promotional content that was made to promote a film.
Right.
That ended up birthing something so much bigger.
Yeah.
Something that went beyond just promotion.
Right.
And really set the tone for what, because you mentioned introducing Ventress. Well, the Clone Wars went on to introduce tons of characters that are now popping up everywhere.
Right. It's true. Yeah.
So, you know, if it wasn't for this series, you may not have got the Clone Wars series and gotten characters like Ahsoka Tano,
Right.
Bo-Katan, you know, and it all started as a promotional stunt.
Yeah, but I will say, you know, Lucas, when he was running Lucasfilm, what you call a promotional stunt, which I'm not denying that that's exactly what it was. But when he was doing something like that, he was all in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he was the one that was a little more high-minded about it, but when he was selling it to everyone else, it's a promotional stunt.
Sure.
Everybody's like, oh, it's great.
Yep.
He knew how to wheel and deal.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
But he was in.
Yes. Oh, so, okay. Also, I just got to bring this up. I'm sure we're just about done talking about Clone Wars, but also in this article, something else that will be coming back to Disney Plus is the 1985 series, The Ewoks.
No.
Yes, and that's all I have to say about that.
What about droids?
I did not see that, actually.
Either way.
Yep.
The plot thickens. We're getting closer and closer to the holiday special.
Right. Yep.
But it's the perfect place to put literally everything. Ewoks, droids, holiday special,
Right.
Tartakovsky series.
Oh, hold on a second. I got to read. Okay. Joe, man, you're making me do this, but okay. There's like 3 bullet points here in this article. I have to admit I skimmed it, so I'm actually looking closer at this now. First bullet point is the Clone Wars. The second bullet point is Ewoks. Third bullet point, the story of the faithful Wookiee, better known as the memorable animated segment from the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special, which introduced the character of Boba Fett and featured vocal performances from the main cast of the original Star Wars film, will also become available on Disney Plus the same day.
Wait, so they're going to butcher it up. Not put the whole special on there.
Right, just the animated section. Well, hey, come on now. That's the best part of the whole holiday special. Let's be real.
Understood. But go for it, man.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, go all in, sure. But yeah, that's funny. I didn't even notice that the first time I looked at this, but
Yeah, it is by far the best part of the holiday special.
So you will be able to see the introduction of Boba Fett to the Star Wars universe. That's kind of cool.
Undoubtedly because of the Mandalorian.
Oh, I have a feeling that's got a lot to do with it. A lot. You know, I'm sure this is to, you know, for anyone who's like looking at the Mandalorian's, oh my gosh, pulse rifle, going, oh my gosh, where'd that come from?
Holiday special.
And they're like, oh, here you go. You know, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I got a feeling that it's coming out to satisfy a lot of those curiosities.
And people like me going, where's the holiday special?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Even though we don't really want to see it.
You need to put that up there for everybody else.
Yep. I mean, I didn't see it when it happened, so I mean, I was fortunate there. But I got suckered like I'm trying to sucker people now.
Right, well, hey.
Like, oh man, you ain't seen the holiday special? Oh, you got to see that.
You should definitely go watch that, yeah.
Then you watch it, it's like, what the hell, man?
Exactly. Sucker.
All right. George Lucas.
George Lucas.
George Lucas talks.
so there's this video that's been kind of like a little hidden diamond in the rough out there that has just kind of surfaced in the past few days. So
But it's from a while ago, right?
it is. It's from a few months ago, yes. But like I said, in the past few days, it's just kind of like hit the quote unquote mainstream of Star Wars folks. And
Yeah, everybody's where we're at. Like, man, there's nothing to talk about.
yeah, exactly. So start digging deep. But so a few months ago, Melody Hobson was doing a kind of like a mentoring Zoom call type thing for students at the East Harlem School at Exodus House. And, when, she was doing this thing, she brings in George to kind of chat as well. So once he walks in the room, mind you, okay, let me paint this picture. George Lucas in a flannel, untucked, sweatpants. Gotta love it. Okay. So
We traded the blue jeans,
exactly. Hey, he's at home, right? It's
but not the flannel.
no. Yeah. It's your lockdown pandemic attire, right? It's so
Sweatpants, flannel.
that's
Check.
right. Yep. So, obviously, when George comes in, some of the topic turns from other things to Star Wars, and I think George had some interesting ways of answering some questions. So here we go.
The world has changed so much since the first Star Wars movie. How do you think the changes in the fights for racial justice will impact the Star Wars universe going forward?
I don't know. I mean, I've kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path than what I intended. But the first 6 are very much mine and my philosophy. And I think that philosophy sort of goes beyond any particular time, because it's based on history, it's based on philosophy, it's based on a lot of things. And the first 3 basically tell you how a democracy turns into a dictatorship, and you end up with a tyrant, the emperor. It's a very important now, where we are now in our political history. The other part was that in there, it's like I purposely, all of the various colors and shapes of the aliens and everything that live in that world, it's a normal situation. There's no real discrimination. The only discrimination is against robots. And we haven't really reached that period yet. And I'm sure the robots will be able to overcome it because they don't have the same feelings.
Hey, we don't serve their kind here.
Right.
So interesting, this is a question very much having to do with things going on in our world today. And George, had this, his way of storytelling was to paint with this broad brush, like to tell a story from a much higher level, right? So that no matter what your beliefs are about whatever, you could take something for yourself from this story, and take it with you and move forward in your life. That's what's been so great about Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, he showed this universe a very, he spoke of the aliens and very a lot of diversity in culture and things like that.
Oh, for sure.
So when they were talking about the injustice from the Empire, things like that, you're talking about anyone below the Empire.
Right.
So that includes every species out there, human, you know, wow, all the alien races are escaping me for right now. Human, Rhodian,
Wookiee,
Ithorian, of the like, right? Like all of them.
Yep.
They're under this iron fist of the Empire.
Exactly.
So when they're talking of that injustice, they're speaking of everything, everyone. So it's kind of meta in that sense, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it is a lasting lesson.
Yes. So it's funny. So speaking of lasting lesson, it's funny because George, he goes, from that point he goes on to telling the story of Anakin Skywalker and how he goes from trying to keep Padme safe to turning into Darth Vader and blah blah blah, which really kind of derails himself from the original question. And then I kind of laughed because it took Melody to kind of like bring him back to on task, and it's I laugh because this sort of thing happens with my wife and myself as well. So it's but it also kind of jogs his thoughts to basically what we're getting at with the storytelling.
So the thing about that is, George, you're saying with the movies, there's the time. It's not of a time, but the lessons are timeless, right?
Yeah, they're timeless. They've been around for thousands of years. They're based on ancient mythology. Mythology was designed ultimately to give a society the tools they need to be a society, which means they have to have a common belief system. They have to believe in the same gods. They have to believe who their leaders are. They have to believe what their history is. They have to believe who their heroes are. Those are the things that combine to make a society. If you don't have those things, then you don't have a society. The interesting thing that we're going through now is the United States was a conglomerate of a lot of different ideas and things, and it was the first beginning of globalization where we began to respect other people, look differently, who think differently, who have different gods. But at the end, you have to have that cohesion. And we were beginning to get it for the whole world. We now split apart, but I think we'll get there someday. But that is the most important thing, is that you respect other people, you respect what they're doing, and you realize that we're part of a symbiotic relationship, meaning that we all help each other. That's the ecology of what we're in. If you take some of the gears out of the watch, it won't work anymore. And taking some of the gears out of the world means it won't work anymore.
So I got to say, I like that. I like what he's saying there. Including the part where, he's talking about, the United States here. Seeing as how we live here, we understand how it's this, grand experiment of, all of these different states united together, under one umbrella. And his he sees the storytelling as well from a much deeper level, talking about how, all of these ancient stories that he borrowed from to tell Star Wars, he knows their purpose. This was to kind of help create a cohesive bond for a society,
Right. They're meant to be the unifying voice.
Exactly. No matter what your other differences may be, these stories here will unify us. And that's part of what I think has always been really good about Star Wars, and that's what I like to see moving forward, hopefully. But that's from the man himself. I just, whenever he starts talking about Star Wars, I love listening, because, when he does, you get an understanding that he has really thought deeply about all of this.
Yeah, I mean, the what he's drawn from there, the storytelling is for, and I mentioned earlier, politics and all that. I don't want to go down that road.
Right.
But storytelling for the point of unifying.
Yes.
Versus storytelling for the point of division.
Right.
You don't tell these stories to tell a certain ideology, anything like that, to divide. You tell it to unite. That's where we've got to go.
Absolutely.
Don't do things for the sake of pissing other people off and then gloating about it.
Right.
Which is things we've talked about in past weeks about, Lucasfilm employees and things they've done. And,
yeah,
that is gloating.
Yeah.
You need to get away from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then my other point is just tell a damn fantasy story already. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Well, George, right? He's talked about, from the get-go, one of his rough draft scripts, that's out there. You can pick it up, read it, and I think it's titled, The Story of Luke's Star Killer, from the Journal of the Wills and all that, right?
Yep.
So, from that point, he goes on to talk about, human civilization, how we all have to work together, and then he's like, you got to think long term in working together, and it's going to take a while for us to be completely united, and because we're going to have to figure out things like, what are we going to do when our star dies? The sun. He's like, it's going to burn out someday. It's like, wow, okay, you're thinking way out there.
Nice and uplifting.
Exactly. I know he's talking to 12-year-olds here. But he's talking about, space travel and finding other solar systems to exist in and stuff. And then he throws this little nugget in there about what else can survive in space travel.
The only allowed life forms that can go through, can fly through space and survive on all kinds of strange worlds are microorganisms. They're everywhere, and there are trillions of them. They outnumber humans, and even in your body, there's more microorganisms than there are human cells. So you got to say, and that's where the idea of the secret, that's where the idea of the wills come from. The wills are microorganisms, and they help create the energy, which is what mitochondria do, which are in your cells. That's the energy that makes your cells divide, which makes life. And they feed on life. That's what the force is. The force is life.
Interesting. I just thought it was, a nice little nugget to put out there. And
very deep, George.
Yeah, I like, again, this is something that he's thought very deeply about, and I like that. Now, he's talked about making movies pertaining to such things before. I don't know how well that would have gone, but I mean, maybe you could touch base on it in a movie. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, when I think Star Wars, I don't think sci-fi.
Right.
I think fantasy, right? It's hero's journey.
Yes, of course.
Fantasy tip.
Yep.
I don't think sci-fi. When I think sci-fi, I think Star Trek.
Sure.
Ugh.
But, again, it's clear that he's a deep thinker about such things, and bringing up the wills, I just had to throw that little nugget in there.
Right on. Right on.
One thing I will say though, I have to just throw this out there too. George and Melody, I mean, for a couple billionaires here, man, your internet connection kind of sucks. Just saying, had a little whatever you call it, packet loss, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I guess that's what happens when you're way out in the mountains or something.
Yeah, and to see the news articles about the bottom line doing better because Disney's doing so good.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Time to upgrade.
Yeah, time to upgrade. Yeah. They should have someone run a T1 line to your house. Uh-huh.
Oh, that went over a lot of people's heads.
I'm sure it did. And the ones who do get it are going to go, wow, Doug's old.
I knew what it was, so I feel old.
Right.
T1. That's great. Man, back when we were talking about how great T1 was, like we never would we thought like fiber optic would be a thing.
Oh, I know. Yes.
We're already ready to transcend that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So.
Funny stuff.
All right. Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. Find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.